The Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have lots to get to in the video today, including 2 snowstorms expected across the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Mid-Atlantic through this weekend. Then an atmospheric river with very heavy rain and snow across much of the West Coast and California from today through this weekend. And then a major northeast snowstorm is becoming increasingly possible, including the I-95 corridor, as we get into next week. If you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. I do cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season, so hit the subscribe button down below so you get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Also, don't forget to press the like button as well. It's that thumbs up button down below the video. Let's try to get over 1,000 likes again today, guys. Thanks so much for all the likes out there. I definitely appreciate it. So looking at the seasonal snowfall accumulation across the Pacific Southwest, and in particular the Sierra Nevadas here, since September 30th of 2022, we have seen several hundred inches of snow over here into the Sierra Nevadas. In fact, some of these areas approaching 600 inches since September 30th of 2022, which would almost make it an all-time record snowiest year across these areas. But as we go through this week, especially through the rest of the week and into this weekend, we're going to see a large plume of moisture moving in here to the West Coast and California. That will start today and really start to take shape as we go into your Friday, March 10th, and even linger into this weekend as well on Saturday, March 11th. And what this will do is bring a lot of this moisture from the Eastern Pacific up across the West Coast in the form of very heavy snow and also flooding rains. And that's why we do have flood watches all up and down the coast here of California, including the Sacramento Valley region. And then we also have winter storm warnings in those higher elevations across Oregon, California here, where we definitely expect several feet of snow to fall going through this weekend. So timing this out, going through this afternoon, it's all quiet for most part here across central and southern California. We'll start to introduce some precipitation chances across the western coastline of Washington State, Oregon, and northwestern California by the noon time frame. Most of this will be rain, but as you go up into the higher elevations, it could start as some snowfall. But the main precipitation shield does take shape by this evening. As you're getting ready for dinner out there, around 6 o'clock, we're really going to start to see those very heavy snows in the upper elevations, but also some moderate to heavy rainfall as well across coastal California here, including the Sacramento region and down here towards San Francisco and even farther north into western Oregon up toward Portland and the Eugene area. We're definitely going to be seeing some very heavy rain and snow there. That will continue all the way through Friday morning at 6 a.m. Again, across those very same areas, we'll start to spread more of this moisture inland here with Idaho, western portions of Montana, western Wyoming, and even the Salt Lake City area and back westward toward Nevada. We'll start to see more rain and snow across those areas, and then that kicks off farther to the east, and we'll start to slowly lose the moisture here by the time we get into Saturday morning, March 11th, across the West Coast. But again, we still will have some lingering rain and snow to contend with, especially in the Sierra Nevadas as we head towards Saturday morning. So starting up at the Pacific Northwest, total snowfall accumulation from now through Saturday morning on March 11th. Definitely seeing a lot of those higher elevations here across Washington State, Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, western portions of Montana, even western Wyoming, and then getting down here in toward the Salt Lake City area into northern and northeastern Utah, seeing over a foot of snow in some areas, even over 2 feet in the highest of elevations. But then as we go farther south into the Pacific Southwest now, including most of the Sierra Nevada areas, we're definitely going to be seeing several feet of snow, potentially 3, 4, even 5 feet worth of snow just going through the next 24 to 48 hours out here through Saturday morning. So definitely a lot of snow to contend with as we go up in elevation. But now we look at the total rainfall accumulation going back up to the Pacific Northwest, those coastal areas from Seattle down toward Portland here and toward the Eugene area, and then farther south into northwestern California, especially along the coastline of the West Coast there. We're definitely going to be contending with 1 to as much as 3+ inches of rain across those areas, and some of those rains will be extending inland as well, but they will start to lose their structure as they move farther inland here. So the organized rains will stay across the coastlines, but still seeing some heavier rain a little bit farther inland toward eastern Oregon, eastern Washington, and even northern Nevada as well. Some of those areas will be experiencing 1/2 inch to over 1 inch of rain at times, and then especially as we get down to coastal California. So Sacramento, down here in towards San Francisco, eventually down here towards the Los Angeles, Bakersfield area, we're definitely going to be seeing several inches of rain going just through Saturday, March 11th. Areas here of about 2 to 5 inches worth of rain, with even some areas right along the coastline over 5 inches of rain going through Saturday morning. And there is a concern for flash flooding. In fact, widespread flash flooding is possible across central and coastal portions of California, including Sacramento, down here into San Francisco, Santa Barbara. These areas we definitely have to be watching out for a moderate risk of flash flooding today into Friday morning. And then that actually lingers through the day on Friday, even into Saturday morning on March 11th, with especially that moderate risk right along the Sierra Nevadas there, and even along portions of coastal California, just north and west of Los Angeles. We definitely have to watch out for some more widespread flash flooding going into this weekend. So again, flash flood safety, turn around, don't drown. If you see a flooded roadway, do not go towards that flooded roadway, because it will, you can't see water moving over the flooded roadway even at nighttime, and again, you don't know how much water is there, and the roadway can be washed away. So definitely want to stay out of flooded areas if at all possible. But then as we move farther to the east, we got another storm system that we'll be contending with. This time, this is a snowstorm across the northern plains, the Midwest, and then extending over toward the mid-Atlantic. We already have winter weather alerts up here with winter storm watches. Actually, winter storm advisories here in the purple shaded colors from Montana down through northeastern Wyoming, through the Dakotas, especially southern North Dakota, South Dakota, getting there in towards Nebraska, northwestern Kansas. That extends over toward the Twin Cities into southern portions of Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. And in these pink shaded colors, those are winter storm warnings here across portions of the Rochester, Minnesota area, down and toward Waterloo, Iowa, La Crosse, Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, and then getting down toward Dubuque, Iowa, and far northwestern Illinois. Those are the areas we expect to get more significant snow from this system. So looking at this is the 500 millibar vorticity. This shows the energy in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. That will move across the northern plains into the Midwest as we head into this afternoon. That will move even farther east toward the central Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley by Friday afternoon. And then by the time we get into Saturday morning, that will be moving off the coast there toward the mid-Atlantic as we get towards that Saturday, March 11th timeframe. So looking at the precipitation at the surface, we do expect a decent shield of snow, light to moderate snowfall rates here up across portions of the Dakotas, central and southern Minnesota, getting into Nebraska here, into Iowa, going through the noon time frame today. Farther south here towards the Missouri region, into eastern Kansas, western Illinois, it'll be too warm for snow, so we'll see more rain, or at least mix of rain and snow across some of those areas. As we cool the atmosphere from the top down, we're going to see more snow spreading across eastern Iowa, much of Wisconsin, northern Illinois. This includes the I-80 corridor up there towards Chicago, Rockford, Illinois. You'll get on the action with some of the moderate snowfall in toward this evening. That will spread even farther east into Friday morning at 6 a.m., including portions of Michigan, so Detroit, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Lansing. All you guys will see some snow in northern portions of Indiana, northern Ohio, including the Toledo area, and up there in towards the Lake Erie region, we'll start to see more snow on Friday morning for the Friday morning commute. And then going through Friday afternoon into Friday night, more of that snow will spread even farther east, including Buffalo, New York, getting down here in towards Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, and towards portions there of central and northeastern Pennsylvania, and perhaps as far east as northern New Jersey as we head towards Friday evening. But you do see farther south toward Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, all you guys will likely see more in the way of rainfall with the warmer air off the Atlantic Ocean across those areas. That will continue through Friday or Saturday morning, and then again we'll start to see that system move off the coast as we head towards that Saturday, March 11th time frame. So looking at the total snowfall accumulation from now through Saturday, March 11th, a decent decent swath of at least a few inches of snow here from the Dakotas all the way down through portions of northern Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, getting farther east here through Michigan, northern Indiana, northern Ohio, through portions of the mid-Atlantic here, including Washington, including the Washington, D.C. area on north, and especially as we get towards the Pennsylvania area and New York State, getting through the Saturday time frame. So looking region by region, a good 2 to 4 inches of snow across the Dakotas through Minnesota into Iowa here. We definitely could be seeing some shovelable snow here, and then farther east, a little bit higher snow accumulations across portions of Wisconsin and northern Illinois. So down here towards the Racine, Kenosha, and Milwaukee region, around 6-7 inches. The northern suburbs of Chicago, around 3 to 6 inches. Locally higher amounts possible. That will extend farther to the east toward Detroit with around 5 to 6 inches there, and then even farther east, going into that Friday, Saturday time frame, we'll start to see a good 2 to 5 inches of snow here across the Buffalo, New York region, just north and east of Pittsburgh and towards northern Pennsylvania, and maybe a couple inches as far east as the Long Island, New York City, and even northern New Jersey as well, going through that time frame. This will be causing some travel troubles as it pushes east, at least those minor to moderate travel inconveniences here from now through Friday morning. This will be especially true across portions of the northern plains into the upper Midwest, and that will spread a little bit farther to the east on Friday afternoon, going through Saturday morning on March 11th. That will be encompassing much of the western and central Great Lakes, and then on over here toward the mid-Atlantic states by the time we get into early on this weekend. But then farther south, we're talking about more rainfall and even some severe weather going into this afternoon. The Storm Prediction Center has hoisted a level 1 of 5, a marginal risk for severe storms from the DFW Metroplex here in Texas. Farther to the east, including Little Rock, just south of Memphis, and then getting over toward Jackson, Mississippi, and northwestern portions of Alabama. This is mainly for large hail here. So these storms that will start to initiate early on this afternoon, these will be likely the large hail producers, maybe some strong 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, but we're not really looking at a tornado risk, which is some good news, as the hodographs will be pretty straightforward here this afternoon. But then as we go through this evening, again, we don't have curved hodographs here, which means as you go up in the atmosphere, the wind doesn't change direction with height. So we're likely dealing with a lot of those straight hodographs, which means likely some large hail, maybe some strong damaging winds at times through 9 o'clock this evening. Those storms will propagate farther to the south and east through the central Gulf Coast states. So Louisiana, Mississippi, into Alabama, we'll watch out for those storms as we move into that Friday morning commute. And again, the unfavorable time of day does signal that we'll have more of an isolated severe weather threat rather than a more widespread severe weather threat as well. And then by the time we get into noon time frame on Friday, a lot of these storms will start to fizzle out here, and we'll be left with just those general garden variety type of storms across southern Georgia, southeastern Alabama, into the northwestern Florida panhandle by the time we get into midday on Friday. This system will be producing some heavy rain, so make no mistake about it. We're going to be seeing some heavy rain here from East Texas through central Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, and perhaps into northern Georgia, including the Atlanta metro area. A lot of these areas in the blue shaded colors, at least an inch of rain, if not 2 inches worth of rain, if we see some storms moving over the same areas, and that does raise the risk for some flooding, at least a marginal threat for flooding across the central Gulf Coast states from today into Friday morning on March 10th, and then all that rain moves farther to the east toward the East Coast, so including the Carolinas, Georgia, and North Florida going into Friday afternoon and Saturday on March 11th with generally a quarter to half an inch of rain for places like Raleigh, North Carolina, Columbia, down here toward Charleston, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Macon, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, and even Jacksonville, Florida during this time frame. But as we go into this weekend, on Saturday, March 11th, we're watching our second snow system or snowstorm moving across the northern plains, diving southeast toward the Midwest and eventually the East Coast. And you can see that on Sunday, March 12th, that'll be diving its way farther southeast toward the Great Lakes region before making a stop toward the East Coast before turning up the coastline on Monday. More on that here in just a moment. But you do see we do have a lot more snowfall on the way. Again, at least some snow showers up here across the Dakotas, especially North Dakota, Minnesota, and to northern Iowa by noon on Saturday. But again, farther south, it's all rain because of the warmer air pushing to the north. And again, we won't have a lot of moisture with this system. The system is coming from the north. We're not seeing the Gulf of Mexico open much with the system, at least with the snowfall side of things. But we definitely will be seeing more heavy rain across the southeast into the Carolinas by the time we get into noon on Sunday. And then this system will start to slow down across the East Coast. We'll start to see some snow showers again across Pennsylvania, western New York State, and then all rain farther south into Maryland, Virginia, and portions of Delaware and even New Jersey as we head into your Monday morning commute on March 13th at 6 a.m. So looking at additional snowfall with our second system on Saturday, March 11th into Sunday, March 12th. An additional 2 to 4 inches worth of snow is a good bet up here across portions of Minnesota, much of Wisconsin, maybe more of a 1 to 2 inch snow event down here in northern Illinois, northern Indiana, into western lower Michigan here. The higher amounts in Michigan will be up here into the UP of Michigan, where we could be seeing some areas getting close to 3 inches. And then farther to the east, Sunday, March 12th into Monday, March 13th, to start the early portion of next week, maybe some lighter snowfall amounts here near the spine of the Appalachians here across West Virginia, and then on up into central PA here into Pennsylvania, with a general 1 to 3 inch snow event across those areas. And then we have more severe weather to the south. Again, the warm side of the system on Saturday, March 11th will be, again, warm enough for severe weather. We'll have a frontal boundary down here, so we have a marginal to slight risk of severe weather, especially into southeastern Oklahoma and to south central portions of Arkansas. So this does include areas just east of the Oklahoma City area, south of Tulsa, and near and south of the Little Rock area, going into Arkansas here toward Pine Bluffs, Arkansas on Saturday afternoon and evening. So we'll be watching out for some damaging winds and large hail with that storm. But as we see that second snow system start to take that left-hand turn up the East Coast, we'll be dealing with a nor'easter potential with a major snowstorm possible early next week. So on the European forecast model, you see that right near the coastline, and it actually bottoms this low pressure system out pretty strongly here, getting in toward that Tuesday, March 14th timeframe. And the GFS model, the operational GFS, is actually starting to latch onto that solution with the European, but not quite as strong. And so we look quickly at the European and GFS's snowfall output. Again, take this with a grain of salt. Things will change, and just showing you what we could see as we head into next week. We definitely seeing some very heavy snow on the European guidance and on the GFS guidance. So there is some congruency with the models with how heavy the snowfall could be, but the track of this is a little bit different, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Quickly looking at the ensemble model, the GEFS here, it is showing a similar solution to the European and the operational GFS, again, with an average of about 3 to 6 inches across parts of the Northeast, and the same holds true with the Canadian ensemble guidance as well. So definitely concerning for another major snowstorm lining up for the Northeast, this time including potentially the I-95 corridor as we get in towards next week. And again, the potential storm track during that Monday the 13th through the Wednesday the 15th timeframe, again, is a little bit uncertain. The low pressure system, as it dives southeast, could take that left-hand turn quicker, which would move it right over portions of the I-95 corridor, bringing rainfall farther north, or it could go farther southeast here and go off the coastline into the mid-Atlantic states and stay offshore, and we'll have heavier snow across much of the Northeast, including the I-95 corridor. So there still are a little bit of some differences in the track of the system that will make a big difference with snow totals going into next week. But even though we have snow potential up there, it's going to be cold for everywhere else. So it will feel like winter across much of the lower 48, especially across the western 2/3 of the country, where we're at least 50 to 60% below normal temperatures going through March 22nd into the third week in March. And it also remains very active here, especially across the southwest and the southern United States with that active subtropical jet. So you see the temperature anomalies going into the following weekend on March 18th. You can see temperatures will still be a good 10, 15, 20 degrees below average, especially up here where the deeper snowpack is across the northern plains and the upper Midwest going into the following weekend. And you also see generally that subtropical jet will be remaining more dominant than the polar jet to the north. So we'll have more southerly storm systems to work with that would actually activate more nor'easter potential for northeast snowstorms going even into the second half of March, especially into the third week in March as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. So again, my weather forecast recap: 2 snowstorms expected across the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Mid-Atlantic through this weekend. The atmospheric river is going to be producing lots of heavy snow and heavy rain and even some flooding across the West Coast today through this weekend. So do be sure to stay up to date on the weather forecast and stay safe out there. And then a major northeast snowstorm is looking increasingly possible, including the I-95 corridor next week, with possibly the heaviest snowstorm in at least a couple years possible as we head across those areas into next week. Well, thank you guys for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys like the weather forecast, give me a thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Thursday, everybody. A great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.